Welcome to the Empty Nest Kitchen, where we're finding fun in the kitchen now that the kids have flown the coop. I'm Christine Van Bloom, a cooking teacher with over 25 years of experience, here to show you tips, tricks, and joy in your kitchen, all while trying something new. Let's get cooking.
Well, oh, happy day. I am so delighted to be here with you this week. Now, if you've been paying any attention, you know that the world is nutty right now, and the market is crazy, and everything is wild and weird. So I was thinking that one of the great things that we can start to do as empty nesters, and one of the things we start doing as we're nearing retirement, or we're even thinking about retirement, or maybe we're in retirement, is we're becoming just a little more cost conscious of the money that we're spending. And this is not me coming at you with a beans of rice kind of menu. Of course, if you change your diet to eat beans and rice, you are going to save money there because meat is expensive. But this is talking about smart shopping for you today, because there are ways that you can be saving money at the grocery store, having less food waste by making little simple changes and looking for simple, cool things in the store. Ready? Let's go. So you know that I'm an herbs and spices kind of gal, not just with the fresh herbs that you can grow at home, though that will certainly save you some money in the long run. But I'm thinking more of the dried herbs and spices that you're getting at the grocery store. And one of my favorite tips here is to get away from the spice aisle, get away from the baking aisle. Because that big rack of all the spices by the big name spice company, well, seriously, those run a little pricey, right? You have two options here. The first is take a little walk to the international aisle of your grocery store. Or if you're feeling really fancy, go to an international grocery store. They are the most fun place to shop, if you ask me. But even in your regular grocery store, if you take a walk over to the international aisle, you are going to find brand names that are different from the big spice companies. And these tend to run way less money. So for example, you can be looking at one of those little containers of, let's say cumin in the big spice aisle, and that's going to cost you $5.49, maybe $6 for that small bottle. If you walk to the international aisle, a lot of times you'll find an international brand called Badia, Badia, forgive my pronunciation, and that is typically going to run you about half of the cost. What? Say what? But not only that, if you go to the bulk section, and even my Wegmans has a small bulk section, you will find that you can buy exactly what you need. Let's say you need an odd spice, or let's stick with cumin and say that you don't use much cumin in your cooking, so you just want to buy what you need for a recipe. Did you know that you can go and actually buy 2 teaspoons of cumin? I know. You'll weigh it. There's a code on it. Our food co-op, our local food co-op has tags, and you write the number on the tag. I am telling you, this is a great way to shop for spices if you're not going to use a lot of it. I think a lot of times of sumac. I actually love sumac, and I try to buy it in as big a container as I can get, but it's not used a ton here in the States, so it's a little trickier to find. I remember getting it in Scotland, 100 years ago, because they use it, I guess, a lot over there. But it was so funny to me to be able to go to the bulk section and just pick up a little of what you need. Perhaps that container of nutmeg is not what you want to get, right? Because you don't need a ton of nutmeg. Nutmeg's a super powerful spice. So using just a little of it here and there, that tiny container lasts you a while. Or go bulk, baby. And speaking of going bulk, you can think about that for any grains as well, or rices, anything along those lines. But I always guess how much I need. So be careful when you do this because it can end up costing you more if you're not careful. Somehow my brain used to make 2 cups, 1 cup, and I'd always buy twice as much as I needed, and then I'd have little bags hanging around in the cupboards. So watch for that, but do consider using the bulk section of your grocery store. It's a great way to go. Now, one of the other things I like to do as an empty nester, and I swear I never did this before the kids left, but when I buy the family size pack of meat, because we know meat and eggs are pricey right now, I am buying family size of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I love boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I think they're such a dream to work with, and they tend to be more economical than the chicken breasts. Also, just coming at it from a cook standpoint, they're always going to be more delicious. They're a little higher in fat than a chicken breast because chicken breast is so lean, but it's not high compared to other things. I love the boneless, skinless size. Oh my gosh, chicken salad. I do a lot of them in the air fryer, believe it or not. Tonight I'm making chicken Caesar salad wraps, and I'll marinate that chicken and throw it in the air fryer. But when I do buy it now in bulk, I've gotten so much better with this. I open up the container and I immediately freeze it into the portions that I'm going to use. And I know this is like, oh, I'm never really going to do that. No. I'm telling you, it takes 5 minutes, but do make sure that you're using freezer bags. Don't use the regular bags. You want that thickness of the freezer bags. But I do this with ground beef. I just bought a huge container. I think it was 6 pounds of ground beef. Well, I'm never going to use all of that. Yes, I am. I just split it out into 1 pound packages. And truthfully, I think I could have probably done half-pound packages for us. But I took it, I put the ground beef in, and then I squish it so it's all flat. It's a great way to store it. It thaws out super quickly for you, and it just works really, really well. I think I paid $2 a pound less for that, and figure out that math, right? So if it was a 6 pound package, holy cow, that's a savings of $12. I used what I needed. I popped it in the freezer bags. Same thing with those boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I find we tend to eat 1.5 or 2 per person. They're not big. So I'll package them in packs of 3 or 4. Squish out all the air. You know, I've told you before that air is the enemy of all things frozen. So squish out as much of the air as you can, label them, flat pack them. There you go. Easy breezy. Now, I have seen tips for people that say, oh, I'm baking all of my own bread now. And I have to tell you, personally, I think that's a labor of love, not a money-saving device. Yes, of course, it costs pennies to make your own bread. But let's be realistic, and are you going to do that? Or could you go to a really fantastic bread bakery in your neighborhood, in your neck of the woods, and grab a loaf of their fantastic sourdough bread? Sure, but now you don't want that to go to waste because typically that's a big loaf of bread. So what I've started doing is buying that gorgeous $12 loaf of bread, but I ask them to slice it for me. When I get home, I take out what I want and then immediately freeze the rest. I promise that you'll be able to gently pry apart the slices with a little butter knife when you're ready and then give them a toast. I do it this way so that I'm not wasting any of the bread. I'm getting that good bread. And hey, if I want to make bread, I can still do that when it suits me. But I will tell you, I am not going to be making bread every day for sandwiches. It's just not going to happen. So consider buying that great loaf of bread and supporting your local bakeries. Have them slice it. Bada bing, bada boom. Now, when it comes to stocks and broths, having those around or buying those, they're really important in cooking. We use them a lot. If you are not the person who's going to make your own with the carcass of the Costco rotisserie chicken, which, by the way, is a fantastic thing to do. Get those darn Costco chickens. They are not only a fantastic price, but they taste great. You can use them as an empty nester over the course of a couple of days, right? And save the carcass of those rotisserie chickens. When you have a couple, you can make stock if that's your vibe. But if it's not, rather than keeping those big quart containers of the stock, which run anywhere from $2 to $4 each, right? Rather than keeping those on hand, I actually love to use a low sodium base. Now, bases are typically super high sodium, and they are also they don't have as much of that real flavor. You can buy the big bulk ones that they use in a lot of restaurants, but there's one called Better Than Bouillon, and no, this isn't this isn't supported by them. I just really, really like the product. And right now at Costco, you can get an absolutely gigantic container of it for $6, I think. It's either $6 or $7. And they have low sodium chicken, vegetable, and beef. Now, I just have the chicken and the vegetable because those are the ones that I tend to use the most. But the cost per use on those is so much lower than those quart containers. And I dare say it's a better product. I actually like this product for easy weeknight cooking. I think it works really, really well. And I'll use it. Here's the great thing. You don't have to follow the directions. Did you know that? You can buy it, and then if it's 1 teaspoon to 1 cup of water to make stock, you could do a double enriched stock, right? Even more chickeny, and put 2 teaspoons in. There have been times when I'm making a sauce and I'll put just, a half teaspoon or a quarter teaspoon just into the sauce, no water, not making it broth, using it to enrich the flavor. And their veg stock is really good too. I use that a ton. It's great to have it on hand so that if you're visited by a vegetarian, or if you have to make something that's vegetarian, you've got a great tool right there. I mean, my goodness, Instant Pot risotto is my go-to. An onion, a little bit of olive oil, some veg broth, some wine if you have it, arborio rice, done. That's it, right? And it only takes a couple of minutes to cook it in an Instant Pot rather than the 45 minutes that you would do stovetop. But I digress. I do love having these in the fridge. Now, I recommend having a Sharpie. I'm going to make y'all a little professional right here. Having a Sharpie or there's this thing called a kitchen stick-in. I've talked about this before. It holds blue tape on the side of your fridge. I use it all the time, but I have no issue just scratching the date with my Sharpie onto any packaged good that I've got. If you are buying salad dressings, first of all, we should do a podcast on salad dressings because you can make really incredible dressings in no time at home. But if you're buying salad dressings, just write the date that you open it. If you've got Hershey's chocolate syrup, write the date. If you've got pasta sauce and you only use some of it, write the date that you opened it. And then there's no guessing and hopefully no furry tops on anything because they got pushed to the back of the fridge. And then finally, this is truthfully where I've had the most success, in addition to these money-saving matters. And of course, doing a Meatless Monday, that's always going to save you some cash. I love to do that. I love my farro bowls with the arugula in them and the roasted tomatoes. You can find that recipe on emptynestkitchen.com, by the way. But in addition to all of these other things, the thing that has really helped me the most, I swear, is making a plan. Now listen, I've got my menopause meal plans. Yes, I would love for you to try that. Please try that. But even if you're not going to go with a meal plan, which I think is just such a great thing, make yourself a list. Like, just take the time to give yourself 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You don't have to be fancy. Okay? You don't have to be fancy every night. You don't have to be cooking something really amazing every night. Do I love that? Sure. Especially as spring is here and summer is coming. But by making a plan, making a list, and then going and shopping, you really save yourself from those last minute trips of grabbing. Listen, every trip to the grocery store right now is costing me at least $75 or $100, and I feel like I'm not getting anything, right? So what I'm doing is being more judicious, and I plan things out. I plan 3 of the meals for the week. I plan just 3 because, listen, stuff comes up, or there are leftovers, or there's a meeting, or stuff is going to happen. But I plan 3 meals, and then I make the shopping list for 3 meals. This is what Menopause Meal Plans does. But I've got that, and then I know what I'm going to do. And I do maintain some flexibility on that, right? That's why I chose 3. Because if I'm trying to do 5, listen, Friday comes, forget about it. I'm going to Belisario's Pizza. I'm getting a steak wedgie. I'm eating half of it. My husband's getting his mini pizza with anchovies because we know anchovies infect the whole pizza. But you're not, power to you if you're cooking at home every single night. I love, as an empty nester, I love to walk downtown and sit at the bar. Maybe I'll have a glass of wine with something, but I love it. Bartenders are awesome. They're so interesting. I love sitting at the bar with my husband and sharing a pizza or doing something like that. So I'm not planning that I'm going to cook 7 meals a week, 7 nights of dinner. I just make it attainable. I choose 3. I make sure they work together. So if, for example, I need romaine lettuce, right? And this is another great tip. You don't have to buy the package of the 3 romaine lettuce heads. You can walk to the other side of the produce section and find just a single romaine lettuce head, right? So think about buying that way. Just another helpful hint in there. Instead of buying a bag with a pound of green beans, grab a handful of green beans and put it in its own little bag, right? Do it that way. You don't have to buy the pre-packaged stuff. If it makes your life easier and it's not going to go waste, heck yeah, totally do that. But can you grab half a pound of Brussels sprouts in the fall? Sure, you can totally do that. So think about that way. But make yourself a little plan. Make a little plan. And, of course, try the menopause meal plans if you like. Right now I have a 5-day challenge going, and you'll be able to find that on the website too. I have a 5-day challenge, and you can even buy like a 2-week plan. I think it's like $9, but check that out because it's good stuff. So think about making a plan to make your life easier. And maybe you're feeling fancy and you're going to make that Instant Pot risotto one night, and you have leftover. Okay, guess what? You can make arancini out of leftover risotto the next day. In fact, I always make a little extra so that I've got leftover risotto the next day. So just give yourself that 10 minutes to plan. 10 minutes to plan, and you don't have to recreate the wheel every week. You can have, most people have a repertoire of, 10 recipes that they're just constantly cycling through. So maybe you pull 2 of your favorites and throw a new one in that you think will be good. Make sure it's a quick one, because on a weeknight, you're not going to want to spend an hour making dinner. But those are options for you. So, as always, I want you to go check out emptynestkitchen.com. You can join the email list. I have all these great emails going out. You can check out menopause meal plans. And I even have, I'm just going to give you a little hint, but I have a class coming up that I'm teaching online that is all about the Mediterranean diet, how to make it work for you, how to cook the different components. I think it's going to be, well, I'm just super excited about it. And that's going to launch in May. So just tuck that in the back there. But here you go. Money saving tips out the wazoo.
Because just because you're an empty nester doesn't mean you want to throw money around, and it doesn't mean that you don't deserve to eat well too. Just take these simple tips, these simple hints, incorporate them, and watch those pennies turn into dollars. That's it. I hope you have an awesome week. I'll see you back here next week. And of course, I'll see you in the kitchen.